All right, back at 9:41. A question. Are you looking for a side hustle or maybe a way to make a little extra cash or a lot in some cases? Well, the answer could be right in your hand. The influencer marketing community is booming, but before you jump into it and quit your job, you need to know how to stand out. So joining us now this morning is Kieran O'Brien, the 21-year-old entrepreneur behind Media Kits. Good morning to you, Kieran. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
So I know there's been a lot of talk about this increasingly, obviously with the rise of not just Instagram, but TikTok now. We're seeing young kids making a ton of money online. But first, I want to start with what your company is and why it's even more relevant now. What is Media Kits?
Yeah, so MediaKits.com is a software tool for creators, influencers, artists, and any type of content creator online to build what is essentially a digital resume for themselves.
And I'm sure you found yourself and your company in demand in recent years. Let's start with the basics here about becoming an influencer. What's the most important part when it comes to embarking on that journey?
Yeah, I think authenticity is one of the most important parts about being a creator in 2021 and beyond, because obviously we're still kind of in the wild, wild west, the beginning phases of influencer marketing, but a lot of brands are starting to catch on to things like fake followers and disingenuous content. You know, it's becoming more and more popular and more profitable for the brands that you're working with to have a long-term, long-standing relationship built on trust and honesty.
Gotcha. You mentioned buying followers. That is a thing. There could be people with hundreds of thousands of followers, and most of them are fake. So you want to make sure that at least most of it is real. So let's talk about creating content. How do I know what kind of content I should create, and how do I pitch that?
Yeah, definitely. I think most creators, in a lot of cases, they have some sort of content that really resonates with their audience. And I think sticking to that and kind of thinking of creative ways to build on top of that is always the best way, so that you're creating content that your followers and your fans actually enjoy, so that they don't start falling off. And I think that's always the best way to go, is to kind of follow what is generating the buzz and follow what is making the biggest impact on your audience. And
you talk about pitching to brands. Sometimes they reach out to you, but you can initiate that. Is that true?
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the reasons why we built MediaKits.com, is to actually empower the creators themselves to be able to send their media kit to a brand and reach out to brands proactively, so that creators aren't just working with brands that happen to fall into their email inbox, but rather they're working with brands that they actually want to work with, and they're proactively reaching out to these brands and pitching themselves as to why they should partner up.
Now, Kieran, I want to manage expectations here, because we even see younger kids in high school who say, you know what, when I grow up, I want to be an influencer. How likely is it that not only can you make money off of this, but that you can have it as a full-time job?
Yeah, well, obviously it's not something that happens overnight. It's not super easy, but I will say it's easier than it ever has been, right? There's so many platforms like TikTok where you can have a viral video completely change your life overnight, and there are now hundreds of thousands of creators nationwide and all over the world, for that matter, that are making a full-time income doing this. And so the odds have never been better for a young person to try to break into the industry.
Is there a platform in particular? I mean, I know a lot of us, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok increasingly. Is there one platform that you would recommend over the other to start building your audience, or maybe focus most of your efforts?
Yeah, I think one of the fastest ways to build an audience right now in 2021 is definitely TikTok. TikTok is short form content. It's easy to get attention, and there's a lot of opportunity for viral content and content that brings in tons of new fans and followers for you.
Yeah, I would agree with you on the authenticity part. I think more so now than ever, people can spot a fake. Right? They can tell if your content is real, but not just that, if it falls in line with your other content. If you're all over the place, I think it sends the message of maybe desperation, or I'm just trying to see what sticks. Would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. Correct.
What's one thing that you should not do? If there were one thing that you should avoid, what would you say that is?
I would say partnering with brands that are going to tarnish your reputation as a creator. It's never worth the quick buck. Even if it's a little bit tempting, it's always worth it to kind of stick with, to go the higher road, and stick with the things that are going to help you with longevity in your brand. You don't want to lose the trust of your audience by doing a deal with a brand that maybe has a tarnished reputation or something along those lines.
If someone is completely new to this, do you recommend, I know I've seen some of my friends or other people who are popular on social media who looked to an influencer that they kind of admired from afar and followed somewhat what they were doing. Would you recommend that?
Yeah, it's definitely smart to follow what's working and follow in somebody's footsteps to an extent. Obviously, you don't want to copy someone. You want to have your own twist on it. But it's definitely good to get inspiration from people who go before you who have been successful with something similar.
All right, very nice. This is especially good for those who already have a passion, right? And you feel like you're doing something different. Might as well make some more money off of it. There's your information there, Twitter and Instagram, Media Kits or MediaKits.com. Kieran, appreciate you coming on and passing along these tips. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.